Book 2, Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for a review of The Journey to the Center of the Earth, my third Jules Verne read. I have already read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, not my favorite, and I've also read Around the World in 80 Days, which I like that a lot better than Under the Sea. So this one involves this young man, Harry, and he is living with and assisting his uncle, his German uncle, Professor Hardwig, who is a mineralogist. And they discover a Icelandic map with a code on it written by a famous, I don't know, I guess he's an explorer. And they try to interpret the code, and it's actually Harry who figures it out. And it leads to a volcano in Iceland that will go to the center of the earth. So he accompanies his uncle to Iceland. They obtain a guide, Hans, and make a travel to this volcano down to the center of the earth. And this volcano is full of prehistoric animals, basically dinosaurs. You have all these exotic plants, and there's even bodies of water under there, and there's various stalactites, and it's pretty amazing. And my feelings about this I felt very much like the main character in the story when being following the story. Like, I was amazed and impressed by all the things that they were seeing and exploring, and at the same time, I was feeling very claustrophobic and scared for the characters because I didn't know what was going to happen, if they were going to survive or not. But although, to be fair, we kind of know that Harry is going to survive because he's telling us this story, and it's very much implied that, it's not just someone reading his diary or his journal or whatever. He clearly survived, and he's talking about, this amazing adventure that they had and how it's changed him and everything. And I mean, they would have to change the ending a lot, and if they, if he hadn't survived, or they don't want you to figure that out. So before I get to, gushing about this book, talking about this, and I wouldn't say I'm gushing, but I did really enjoy it. My only criticism is what I just said is my criticism, that we knew that he survived, so it takes away some of the tension of the story. I mean, I know it's probably more about the adventure, and I do think Jules Verne is more about exploring rather than telling a thrilling tale. Like, I mean, his stories are very thrilling, and they're about, and I'm sure, yeah, he still wants to tell a fun adventure story, but I think he's very much focused on exploring the world around him and all these environments and stuff like that. And but yeah, it took away some of the tension of the story, because we know that one of the thrilling things about some of these stories, fantasy and science fiction and horror as genres, is that you don't know if the characters are going to get out of their situation they find themselves in, and you fear them, and you fear for them, and you're worried that one of them's going to die. And you kind of already know that they're going to get through this, that no one's going to die. So, but again, I think it's more about the exploration of this underground, subterranean world that Jules Verne has created. But that was, like I said, I was very much feeling like Harry, where I was amazed, but I was also scared and worried. I was still worried for them, or, even though I knew they were going to get out of this. But it was, looking at all the things that he created and he said was down here was wow, because, most people rarely does a person get the opportunity to explore this kind of world, this kind of place. And because of the dangers, which Harry is very much worried about, Um, all the exotic plant life was really cool, except the mushroom trees. They're basically giant mushrooms that look like trees with umbrellas, but are really creepy. Because I'm not a big fan of mushrooms that you find in the ground. Like, first of all, I know that most of them are poisonous, or because they're fungi, and yeah, and just mushrooms in the ground just give me EBGBs. Like, I've seen, them just pop up everywhere after a rainstorm, and, I've also seen giant clusters of them that look like big giant mushrooms, and it's really gross. So the idea of a mushroom forest just gives me shivers. So I wouldn't like that as much. The idea. And, I was wondering, are they poisonous? Are these guys if they touch them, is gonna make them ill or, make them sick or something? But they end up not doing it. Also, the fact that there's a body of water down there is like, that's not hot. Hot lava was really like, wow. And then there was also the prehistoric animals there. That was really cool. They even almost run into a battle of two prehistoric animals fighting, which it does cause their boat to shipwreck. At one point. So that's one of the, like, throughout the story, they're basically facing all the elements of this environment, and they're also worried about getting lost. And there's also the fear of getting lost, which Harry does get lost at one point. And so really that's most of the dangers, is all the elements they're facing, and all these near misses, which brings me to another criticism that I kind of, even though yes, it was probably more about the exploring the environment, and that yes, there was plenty of danger, but I almost wish that there was a little bit more of, there was a little less of the near misses, and that maybe there's actually some consequences. And as I said before, it took away the tension that you already knew that the characters were going to survive. But I wish that there was, like, possibilities of, like, what if Harry got seriously ill or something? Like, yeah, he's unconscious for a little while, but he ends up being okay. And sadly, that's one of the rare moments where the uncle actually shows affection for his nephew. Like, I do believe he loves his nephew, but, I mean, I would assume he does. But that's one of the things that made me angry, is that the uncle was very dismissive of Harry's very valid concerns about getting lost. Like I said, he does get lost at one point, and he ends up getting injured, and ends up unconscious at one point, and that's one of the rare moments that the uncle shows concern. And he's worried about them running out of water and food, and they almost run out of food, and they do run out of water, so they have to search for a water source, which takes a longer time than the uncle assumed it would. And, like, the uncle's just constantly telling him, well, it's because of this and this, and, showing him and explaining the science, and being like, I'm surprised that you, nephew, that you aren't smart enough to figure this out, or to know this already. And I'm just rolling my eyes, and it's like, again, you have more knowledge than your nephew and everything, and you have studied all this, but that doesn't guarantee that you're right. And I feel like the uncle just doesn't like admitting when he's wrong. Like, Harry asked him if they're lost a couple times, and they do seem like they're pretty lost, because it's a big environment. And the uncle is just ignoring him a lot of times, and just dismissive of his concerns. Again, they are very valid concerns, and that, it's not until he's forced to reconcile that these things do happen that the uncle finally is like, okay, and they just keep going, which, yeah, I mean, at the same time, like, what else are they going to do? They're in this, like, but he's not even, like, he just is very just like, whenever, when Harry asks him, okay, well, how are we gonna get back? How are we gonna get back to the surface? He's like, you are a coward, and for worrying about that, we need to worry about our goal to get to the center of the earth. And it's great to have a goal and everything, and it would be really cool if he could do that, but it's like, he's not worried about the safety of his nephew or his fears. He's not easing his easing his, easing those fears. And then to top it off, the guide, Hans, like, he can't really communicate with Harry because Harry doesn't know the language, the Scandinavian language. He hasn't formed a bond with Harry. And the Uncle Hardwig is paying him. And the uncle's just trying, the guide is just trying to do his job. So whenever, like, Harry's kind of looking at the guy, Hans, like, my uncle's crazy. Can you help me and persuade him we need to go. We need to find a way out of here. The guy just continues doing his job. Hans just continues doing his job. And even though I understand why, like I said, he's getting paid, he's not necessarily loyal to Harry. He's loyal more to the Uncle Hardwig. So yeah, but that still kind of annoyed me. It's like, this kid is worried and there's a lot of danger they could find themselves in. But I mean, I guess Hans is also experienced too, so he's like, I know what I'm doing. But they also can't really communicate with each other either, as I said before. But anyway, so there is one point where they cross paths where they think they've seen a prehistoric man, like this rather large man, but then they end up getting away. They're like, okay, we're gonna get the hell out of here. And I just was anticipating that the man would notice them and come charging at them. But that didn't happen. So it's like, did that really happen? Did they really see that? And even Harry himself is talking about how later when they finally got home, he questioned that. So that I kind of wish that guy, had noticed them, maybe come charging at them angrily or something. But anyway, so other than that, it was still kind of cool, like seeing this place. And I do think Jules Verne is very much an explorer, all about exploring these places, and I do believe he's a really smart person as a person. So, and I think that this book is definitely his book so far more about exploring the world around them and also going into the unknown. And like, I think that's his top priority when he's writing these books. So even though, yes, I would like more dangers and more thrilling, and this was still a really good story and really fun adventure. And like I said, I'm gonna keep going. I like Jules Verne, even though I wish he would do a little bit more with the stories so far. Like I said, my least favorite was 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas. I just hope my nephew likes them. My 10-year-old nephew, because he's gonna be 10 in this summer, but I really hope he likes the book. Maybe he'll like it even more than I did. So I don't know what I'll read next by Jules Verne, but I enjoyed Journey to the Center of the Earth. If you're a science fiction adventure reader, then maybe you'll like it. But like I said, it's a little different. It's an older work, so the writing is a little more old-fashioned. And like I said, it's not as dangerous or not necessarily. It's still exciting, but it's hard to explain. And besides, you might not feel the same way I do anyway about it. So the excitement in the book might be enough for you. But anyway, so that is my review and my thoughts on Journey to the Center of the Earth. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below if you want to if you want to be notified about my latest videos. And I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later.